Hello, I'm Kristen Oakes-White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
60% of all grain exported from the United States travels down the Mississippi River. However, after Hurricane Ida, the grain export facilities on the lower Mississippi River shut down due to damage and power outages.
Within 2 weeks of the storm, grain flowed once again from an export facility in St. James Parish, which is why American Farm Bureau President Zippy Duval traveled there to see the progress firsthand. The Zeno Grain Corporation export facility in Convent, Louisiana is one of only 10 along the lower Mississippi River, which loads ships with corn and soybeans bound for other countries. Like many of the other facilities, this one closed after Hurricane Ida made landfall on August 29th.
We realize any interruption in the system causes a backload all the way back to the farmer.
American Farm Bureau President Zippy Duval joined Louisiana Farm Bureau President Jim Harper, along with other farmers and St. James Parish officials, for a tour of the facility. Zeno resumed exports nearly 2 weeks after the storm and was able to export 36 million bushels of grain in September, just 3 million bushels shy of the pre-hurricane goal.
One ship leaving here going to another country that 21 farmers and all their year's work is going into that one ship, and they're shipping out over 325 ships just from this one location every year. Can you imagine how many people that affects upstream? Not just the farmer and his family, but the hardware store, the grocery store, the doctor's offices, and all the rural communities across America. What they do here is just as important what we do in the field.
To have the American Farm Bureau president visit here in St. James Parish, it's just a statement all in its own. It's a statement all by itself. St. James Parish is a major component of the export industry along the Mississippi River and amongst the Port of South Louisiana.
Pete Dufresne is the St. James Parish president. He says the Zeno export facility is vital to providing jobs in this area.
In St. James Parish, we have not only the Mississippi River, large deep water port access, we have rail, we have interstate, we have everything you need here in St. James Parish to make exporting and the industrial corridor a success. Not many parishes can have all four modes of transportation that we do here in St. James Parish.
There is also lots of sugarcane in St. James Parish.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leaves. So that would have been 6 joints. We lost over a month and a half of growth.
Sugarcane farmer Brandon Gravois shows Duval the damage from Ida, but does not dwell on the negative. Instead, he shows the progress he made planting sugarcane with this mechanical billet planter, and even lets Duval take the tractor for a spin.
Now he knows what goes on, and hopefully he understands, and I'm sure he does. He's a great fella, and I taught him how to drive the tractor, and he planted 6 rows of cane for us, and he was all smiles and telling me his stories of him growing up and how he got in his position. So it's very unique to have those kind of one-on-one conversations with the president of American Farm Bureau.
If Pete Dufresne looks familiar, he's also a sugarcane farmer in St. James Parish and once served as the Parish Farm Bureau president. It's amazing how this organization gets you ready for leadership. But what I thought was really cool was when Zippy Duval hopped in that tractor and started planting sugarcane with Brandon Gravois.
I think, Carl was with me when we went to see, it was a few years ago when he was first elected. I think he really enjoys going to sugarcane farms because it's so different, and I think he enjoys looking at the equipment, and it was a joy to see how much it lit up his face. So.
Oh yeah, and whenever you look in that cabin, you see him smiling.
Yes.
He's a farmer. He's a farmer
yes,
through
he
and
is.
through. Well, we often share stories here on TWILA about farmers coming to the aid of those in need. So why would we stop now? Then this next story is one of those.
Days after Hurricane Ida destroyed homes and infrastructure in South Louisiana, a group of Louisiana women in agriculture came together to bring supplies to a community devastated by the storm.
My name is Lauren Bro. Today is September 18th. We're here in Montague, Louisiana. Montague is a very small fishing town just south of Houma. We're on Bayou Terrebonne. And so if you're familiar at all with the swamps of the bayou, if you've ever been down here going fishing in Cocodrie, you pass right through Montague. We wanted to come to a smaller town. Their need was great, and we could meet them where they were. Everything from cleaning supplies to school supplies, and everything in between, medicine, diapers, wipes, all the things. And we're just having people pull through and then loading it into their car. No one here waits for federal assistance or government aid. They have been recovering from hurricanes for hundreds of years. They wake up the next morning, they clean up the mess, they band together with their community, their families, and their neighbors, and they rebuild. They don't wait for handouts. And so when we have an event like this where we can help them with that, the response is overwhelming. Whether we're a part of their community or not, we understand and we recognize their resilience, and we want to honor that by assisting them with that. The state of Louisiana is an ag state, so the people in these bayou regions are fishermen, they're crabbers, they're shrimpers. They are bringing in Louisiana seafood to the rest of the world. They are the people, the backbone of what gives us our amazing reputation as an ag state. And it's very unique. It's, we have cattlemen here, we have ranchers here, we have row croppers here, but a lot of these people in this area, their agriculture is what's coming out of that bayou. We never want it to be our turn, but when it's not our turn, we go down and we help those people. And that is just, again, I have never been more proud than now to be a part of Louisiana Women in Agriculture.
At the end of the day, more than 5,000 meals were served to the locals who came through that line. Hurricane Ida has left the news headlines, but communities most impacted in South Louisiana are still feeling the effects of the storm. Lauren Bro and the Louisiana Women in Agriculture are still collecting school supplies for those communities, and we linked to their Amazon shopping list on our website, and you can find that at twilatv.org. That is a great way that you can help people that are still hurting from the storm.
Absolutely. Well, it's time again for the Louisiana Agriculture Hall of Distinction to find a few new inductees. Organizers are accepting nominations now for the newest class of distinguished leaders in the ag industry. 2021
inductees included Ronnie Anderson, the Louisiana Farm Bureau president for 31 years, rice industry leader Jackie Lower, and John Gay, a sugarcane farmer from Iberville Parish. Other past inductees include Linda Zonbrecker, G.B. Gronyard, and longtime Farm Service Agency Director Willie Cooper. The Louisiana Radio Network, LSU Ag Center, Louisiana Department of Ag and Forestry, and Louisiana Farm Bureau put together this program.
Yeah, nominations will be accepted until December 3rd. For a link to the application and to learn more about the Louisiana Agriculture Hall of Distinction, head over to our website at twilatv.org. In many developed areas, you can't go far without seeing a coffee house. I know that Carl Wiggers single-handedly keeps Starbucks in business with his cold brew fix that he has to have every day.
But an old beverage that's seeing new life in trendy places is tea. This week, TWILA's Neil Melanson travels to a tea house here in Louisiana where the tea is grown right on the grounds.
It's not your typical Louisiana roadside farm. In fact, these plants you see may be the only ones of their kind in the state. The Fleur-de-Lis Tea Company is a new endeavor in Louisiana, one that manager Hans Marchese says will be available for the general public to see firsthand.
There's a lot of people already in America who really love tea, and they've never seen a tea plant before. So we can offer that experience to them. We can take them through, how do you actually process tea? How is it picked? How is it grown? What's the most important thing with growing tea? And that's going to be a really big thing, is we can offer that to people. We can show them what a tea field looks like, and they can actually pick tea and feel the caffeine going through their fingertips.
The company is growing the black tea that Southerners use to make sweet tea, as well as these green tea plants. Marchese says he wants people to have a taste for both the old and the new.
It needs a lot of rain, but it also needs a lot of drainage, and that's our biggest problem here, is the drainage in Louisiana. We get the rain, but it doesn't wash down the mountain. So we pick ours mostly for being able to grow in this area. So it is a little bit about flavor profile, like the Japanese tea we knew was good for greens, so we wanted one to be a high quality green tea. But yeah, mostly we're growing and doing a little bit of breeding for this area.
Owner David Barron isn't just planting tea here, there's also a tea house growing. With touches like these New Orleans scenes, as well as this bathroom door made from millennia-old Sinker cypress wood Barron personally recovered, the company is brewing both beverages and an event center.
The younger generations are really discovering the benefits of tea. Of course, the older generations have drank tea, the traditional Louisiana sweet tea, and are now experiencing the new hot teas and the greens, whites, and oolongs. I think that it's really, we're on the beginning of a new interest in the United States in tea.
Barron is a first-time farmer, having already completed a career as a machinist. His passion for working with his hands has been rekindled in these fields.
I sort of bought the property just as an investment, and then I bought a tractor and started clearing a little bit, and it wasn't long that it became a passion. And now that the tea is a part of that, it's just expanded that appreciation of being outdoors and trying something new.
Now, the Fleur-de-Lis Tea Company is hoping to open commercially in the spring of next year. However, given that these tea plants can live for up to 1,500 years, David is hoping to establish on these beautiful grounds a legacy for tea drinkers for generations to come. Reporting from Amite, I'm Neil Molasan.
We're definitely looking forward to that tea house opening soon. Fleur-de-Lis is also planning on expanding into different types of tea, as well as commercial sales in stores outside the tea house. While nearly 75% of Louisiana's cotton crop has been harvested, according to the latest USDA crop progress report. Great prices and timely rains have come together to make cotton farmers in Louisiana very excited to pick this year's crop.
Absolutely. This week, TWILA's Carl Wiggers traveled to Oak Grove to visit some cotton farmers who are picking their best crop in a long time.
Last few years hadn't been as great, but this one is very exceptional.
Exceptional crop. That's the shared opinion of the Rawls men that farm together. Brothers Neil, Ryan, and Chad farm with their father Ronald in West Carroll Parish. They grow a pretty standard mix of North Delta crops. Ryan says that he's pleased with their grains, but would have loved more cotton in their fields.
I'm tickled to death with corn prices and beans. They were probably the best consistent across the board we've had on those too. But I would have rather had $1 a pound cotton.
Ronald says having cotton in their farming rotation is here to stay, and they plan to increase cotton acreage next year.
We're going to go up on our acres next year, but we're going to keep a happy medium just for rotation purposes, just so you ain't back to back with the same crop. So,
after farming nearly 40 years, Ronald says the exceptional years, especially ones with good market prices like this year, are important to keep the farm going. That's a lesson that his sons have learned early in their career.
On a year like this, you catch up on your bills and you may make a little money and put it in your bank account for a change and have a little cushion there for the next bad one.
And people think because we got this large equipment and big trucks and all this stuff that farmers got just a ton of money, but it's not really how it is. I mean, we got notes on all this equipment just like people got car notes and stuff to pay for. I mean, it all comes out of this crop we make.
I had a guy told me years ago, an old genter, that when I first started farming, he said, son, farming is like a pendulum. He said, it's going to go up, and it's going to be good, and then it's going to come back down, and it's going to be bad. So you got to make it while you're in the middle, what you got to do.
In Oak Grove, I'm Carl Wiggers for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
This year, Louisiana is expected to harvest nearly 105,000 acres of cotton. That's a little bit lower than in years past, and they're having some delays because of storms that have been rolling through, interrupting harvest for farmers like Rawls. Still to come on TWILA, there's another sweet harvest taking place in Louisiana right now. We'll tell you why that's important for Thanksgiving.
But first, hitting the target to teach agriculture in schools. Stay with us.
When farmers are not out in their fields, they like to take aim at helping youth learn about agriculture.
I see what you did there. The 10th Louisiana Farm Bureau Sporting Clays Shootout attracted shooters from across the state to Los Palomas Shooting Range in Benton, Louisiana. That's northeast of Bossier City near the Arkansas state line. Nearly 20 teams competed for the best shot, and as you can see, it was not always easy for competitors to hit the clay pigeons as they flew by. The event benefits the Louisiana Ag in the Classroom Foundation and the Louisiana Farm Bureau Foundation. Louisiana Farm Bureau First Vice President Marty Woolridge says it's also helps spread the word about Farm Bureau.
This gives us an opportunity to put the Farm Bureau name out in front of a wide group of folks, a wide age group, and we're able to raise some money that will help tell the story of agriculture through the Ag in the Classroom program to the younger kids, elementary school age and what have you. And then we're able to raise that same money and give into the foundation of Louisiana Farm Bureau that puts those scholarships in the hands of the kids that want to study agriculture in the state of Louisiana.
Now it's almost time for high school seniors to begin submitting applications for the Louisiana Farm Bureau Foundation Linda and Wayne Zonbrecker scholarships. You can learn more about the scholarships and the Ag in the Classroom program on our website at twilatv.org. Well, speaking of Ag in the Classroom, you have a chance to learn more about this program in person and online.
Yeah, now that restrictions are lifting, in-person teacher workshops have resumed. While most have already happened, there is one set for Wednesday, November 10th at the Burden Museum and Gardens Conference Center in Baton Rouge. That's on Essen Lane near Our Lady of the Lake Hospital. Louisiana Ag in the Classroom coordinator Linda Danos says the goal is to help incorporate agriculture into reading, science, social studies, and math, but it also helps teachers save time.
Time is an important asset and something that we all wish we had more of, but to teachers, time is invaluable. So as much prep work as we can get done for them and have it ready to use. So these lesson plans are ready to use. They'll have to gather some of the hands-on manipulatives or materials that they may need, but all of the work, the objectives, the procedures, the assessments, the evaluations, the enrichments, the standards are all laid out in that lesson plan format for them, so they don't have to do anything to that lesson plan.
Did I mention that all of this is free? You can find a link to register for the Baton Rouge workshop on our website, twilatv.org. And if you can't make it there, AITC has a Google Classroom where you can learn all about Ag in the Classroom materials at your own pace. You'll find a link for that as well on our website. It really is a great resource.
It is. Farmers in Louisiana are entering the final stretch of this year's sweet potato harvest. According to the latest crop progress report, Louisiana farmers have more than 80% of the sweet potato crop out of the field.
This week, TWILA's Craig Gautreaux shows us that despite a rain-plagued growing season, many are pleased with the results so far.
In Matt House's sweet potato field, workers are busy picking bucket after bucket of large sweet potatoes. All of these potatoes are headed to a nearby processing plant to fulfill a contract House has. Except for an area in central Louisiana that received heavy rain from Hurricane Ida, most sweet potato farmers are happy with the results of their harvest.
Yields have been, in a lot of places, exceptionally good. The growers are well pleased with the turnout.
Many producers have moved toward growing for the processing side instead of the fresh market because there is less risk involved. Good yields help growers meet their contractual obligations to the processing plant.
From what I'm hearing this year, it's not going to be an issue at all. Some years it may be close, but pretty well most of the time they've been able to fulfill the contract and have extra to sell.
Prices for most farm commodities have been strong this year, and sweet potatoes are no exception.
Prices are good. I mean, if you look at the processing, it's been stable for several years now. The fresh market is pretty strong.
Harvesting sweet potatoes is labor intensive, whether they are picked up and sorted mechanically or by bucket crews. Using bucket crews requires more labor, but it offers a couple of big advantages.
Generally, you can cover given acreage quicker. You can generally go when it's a little wetter with those crews.
Sistrunk said Louisiana's acreage increased slightly this year to more than 7,000 acres, which stopped a long trend of declining acreage. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Craig Gautreaux reporting.
The long-term forecast looks good for harvesting, and Louisiana sweet potato harvest should be wrapped up about the beginning of November or so. Still to come on TWILA.
How FFA is creating the future farmers of America. Stay with us.
This week, more than 60,000 FFA members from across the country will celebrate agriculture during the 94th Annual National FFA Convention in Indianapolis. So in honor of the event, we're bringing a special FFA-themed TWILA Boost to you.
Monty Cummins didn't grow up on a farm, but thanks to his local FFA program, he's now raising his own cattle herd while stitching his own mark in the ranching business.
What interested me in leatherwork was watching my dad build shaps for different locals around here, and I just thought it was a pretty good idea, from turning a piece of scrap of leather to a very beautiful piece of art. Then one day I met Ryan Carpenter, and he had done similar things to what my dad had done.
I think he was 7 years old, and we were baling some hay in the front field, and here comes this little kid walking up the driveway, literally just walking up the driveway. Hey, you need some help? And so he just kind of showed up, and then he became kind of a permanent fixture here all the time. And with me building saddles and doing leather work, Mont really just kind of wanted to try it. He's been stamping ever since he's been around, pretty much, just playing, practicing. Well, pretty soon he had a pretty good handle on it. I mean, we encouraged him to do it, but it wasn't like, listen, kid, you need to sit down and do this. It was more of a case of, if you want to do this, here. But here's this opportunity. I mean, that's kind of how I treated all my kids at school. What are you interested in? Do you want to try this? Do you want to try this? How about this? And I think that's, that's all we did with Mont. Now he just kind of takes off and runs with it. If he decides he wants to do something, he tries it, or he asks about it, or he figures it out.
Some of the projects I have completed are a set of reins, 3 pairs of shaps, and a couple of headstalls. One of the hardest parts was the sewing part, because I've always had trouble of having a good steady pace on my line, and a couple times it had ran away from me from pressing the pedal too hard, and it would always go sideways. Took me a good 3 to 4 years to get to where I wanted to be. Being able to sew a straight line and have a good steady pace.
When you think of Northern Nevada, you think of extremely rural school, most people are going to think immediately of a bunch of production style SAEs. Kids that are super involved in production agriculture. And in reality, we're probably a lot like everybody else. We have a few kids that are really deeply involved in production agriculture, and we have a lot of kids that are involved in leadership aspects.
My cattle management SAE is teaching me how to do my finances, along with record books, and how much money I need to put into the feeding them and the different vaccines. It's all fun for me. Ryan is more like an uncle to me, and he has taught me discipline and the connections between animals and people.
With Monty learning the skills to build even simple things like shaps, there's a pretty good little side income that can be made on that. And I think any kid with any kind of skills they can pick up that they can do things on the side, I think it really helps, and it helps their potential to succeed in life no matter what they do. But having those other skills in life to fall back on or to use if you're hitting hard times, or to just do for fun, and hey, you make a little bit of pocket money and you can go on vacation with it. I think those are really, really important to have for everybody.
For me to feel very accomplished was being able to train yourself to your goal. And to reach that goal, I believe you need to just keep practicing and make sure you have that good steady pace.
And a special thank you to the National FFA organization for providing us with that great video. Well, that does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when we'll show you how farmers are working with railroad companies during harvest to keep all of us safe.
Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and you'll find all these stories and more on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe, turn on those notifications. Your phone will go off every time we put something new out.
For all of us here at TWILA, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.